For me, purchasing beauty products was not that great of an experience. I can remember when I was looking for makeup for my skin, and I had been using an organic makeup that I was getting from a very expensive grocery store. I didn't feel comfortable, like I had an opportunity to ask any questions about the product. And when I finally did get to a consultant and ask them, what's in this lipstick, what's in this, they really didn't know. So when it came to my hair, that was even harder. I would go into the beauty supply, and as you know, it's just aisles and aisles and aisles of product. But what I didn't know, what was right for my natural hair. And again, I was faced with the same dilemma. Who can I ask? Nobody really knew anything about these products. They were just selling them. It wasn't a great experience, not being able to get the right amount of information from the people who I was buying the products from. So that's one of the things that I love about the Beauty Lifestyle Network, is that it's a community of information as well as a bunch of great products that have been proven to really give you the look that you're looking for when it comes to your hair, skin, and body.
All right, welcome Beauty Lifestyle Network family. I'm Dior Metcalf, and I'll be your host today. And we have a great show for you tonight. We're gonna show you how you clean those nasty makeup tools. Now, I know a lot of people have those sitting in the bathroom. You never quite think about it, but now in the time of COVID and post-COVID even, you want to still keep in mind that you want to keep those tools as clean as possible. And today we're going to show you the secrets of how to do that with our special guest today. We have a great panel. We have Patricia Thompson. Thompson, I always mispronounce that. Thank you for joining us, Patricia. We also have Renee Hamilton. And thank you, Renee, for joining us today. And we're going to get the background for both of you ladies in a minute. But kind of first, I want to start off by addressing our topic for today is how to clean those nasty product and makeup tools. So let's start with Patricia. Patricia,
Yes.
kind of give us a little background before we go into this topic about yourself, and so we kind of have a baseline for our discussion here.
Okay, so I am a recently retired Army veteran. I served 22 years, and I always said that after leaving the military, I would pursue my passion. And one of my lifelong passion has been beauty. So along with Renee, we started a company by the name of Front and Center Cosmetics, and we are in the process of launching our first set of products. And keeping your tools clean is very important to me because I know that there's so many bad things that can happen if you're not, clean when it comes to the things that you put on your face and on your body. So it's just imperative that we teach people how to make sure that they avoid any type of infections and prolong the use of their brushes and when to throw their makeup out and when to clean their makeup. It's just so important, and I don't think that it's taught enough.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And Renee, kind of give us a little background on yourself. I know you have a very interesting background. If you've ever been to Renee's social media, which we'll put up in a moment, but make sure you check out. So, Renee, tell us a little bit about yourself and about your background.
Okay, so I'm currently living in the Bay Area, California. I've been a licensed esthetician in California for the past 10 years, but I've been able to balance about 20 plus years serving in the Army Reserve while also being a professional artist. And as a licensed professional and a creative, I'm very mindful of what I do when I'm working with people. I love creating beautiful things and art with the human body, but I am responsible for the experience that I create when working with someone. So I like for them to know what to expect as it pertains to the safety of the beauty experience while we're making it happen. So, yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. Having fun, but keeping things safe.
All right. And so I'm looking forward to hearing your ladies' perspective on this and also giving us some great tips and show us how to keep these makeup tools clean. But before we get into this, I'd just like to thank our supporters. We have Beautiful Brown Girls today as our main supporter, and also ANAC Pro, a longtime supporter of ours. And also, we're doing a show with them, so make sure you check it out. It's called Home Hair Care Series, where we talk professionals about how to do your hair, digital media, who helped to put together this show and all our other shows as well. So thanks to our supporters there. You know, you being a licensed esthetician, and also a
You got
body
it.
paint artist. So, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see from people when it comes to maintaining clean and healthy tools? So, let's start with the first one.
Okay, so pretty much as it pertains to working as an esthetician, now you can do anything from skincare, makeup, body treatments, things of that nature. I primarily focus with for body paint. Some things I've been able to observe or learn of from other artists or clients' feedback is the type of products that are actually being used on them. For example, they should be cosmetic grade versus something that's costume or something of that nature, right? And so in that case, if you use the wrong product, you can really impact that person's skin. So that's one thing with safety, but I will primarily say seeing and observing brushes. You can have fun, you can paint away, but there's a responsibility for a professional to make sure every time you touch that person, your hands are clean, the surface you're working on is clean, sanitized, and you give your best to make sure that you're mindful of their well-being. So I've observed brushes being just kind of used in between people, and I've found a very tactful and supportive way to help that person out of their moment for everyone's safety.
Okay. So we know brushes are a big culprit in this thing, right? So, what are some other tools that people may not think of that are like a right with bacteria?
Ooh, so I would think, for example, let's say just even mascara. A lot of times growing up, you got used to sharing that mascara. It's fun, it's an experience, but you have clean eyes and everything, but everybody's health isn't the same. And sharing that can really lead to some eye infections, other kind of concerns. And it doesn't really matter if it's your, sister or best friend. So I've noticed people share makeup, just for the experience, but not really being mindful how that can impact their health.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. So, Patricia, as someone in
Yes.
the beauty industry, kind of, what are some of the things that you think women kind of take for granted when it comes to their cleanliness of their makeup?
I think they take for granted how because having your makeup in warm, dark places like a bathroom can breathe bacteria. I think sometimes women who don't wear makeup a lot can take for granted that they still need to clean their tools on a regular basis, and check the expiration dates on their makeup to make sure that that makeup is still fresh and still good for use. And I also share Renee's thoughts as far as sharing makeup with family members or friends. Um, it can be very dangerous. It can spread staph infections. It can spread pink eye. So I'm a big proponent of disposable brushes. Um, and you can find these on Amazon, and they're cheap, and they will keep you safe, especially in this COVID environment.
Yeah, that's a pretty good. Disposable is the thing now, and
Yes.
but when you talk about makeup and how expensive it is, uh, are women going to be using disposable products instead of what comes with the products? You think?
I think it's a good idea. It will prolong the life of your products, especially for more expensive products. So I think it's worth the investment, and they're not very expensive.
Now, Renee, as an artist who uses makeup for the whole body, um, what are the things you think women try to get away with the most when it comes to their makeup? What product in particular you think they try to just really get that wear out of it that they never throw away?
I would say lipsticks. Lipsticks, because once you have that favorite lip color, like it's your go-to. I have two that I'm wearing now. I love this new look, but just because it's a favorite doesn't mean you have to keep it forever. Sometimes, even when I gift products to people, I like to give them two. Just because it's your favorite doesn't mean you should keep it forever. And it's always great to, spray some alcohol and wipe that lipstick off, even if you are the only one using it. So you're not allowing bacteria to find its way to make a home on your favorite lip product.
So we're gonna get into a full discussion about some of the perils of um, not cleaning your products. We're gonna talk about how you clean them, and we're gonna do a few demos, and then we're gonna tell you what products should be thrown away and when they should be thrown away. But before we do that, I have a special treat for you guys. I want you to check out this video. It was done by Good Morning America, talking about bacteria on makeup. So just to kind of give us a context of this discussion, so take a look at this.
Oh my goodness.
Need I say more? This is from some concealer that we tested. So
Really?
anyway, Robin, anyone who wears makeup needs to watch this story. We recruited some brave souls from around the office and tested their makeup bags, including my own, and it wasn't pretty. We found bacteria that can cause everything from infections to illness, and wait till you see who had the worst.
Just like beauty, the bacteria that can contaminate makeup is only skin deep. All it takes are a few cells from an unwashed hand or a blistered lip, and a mascara or lip gloss can become a haven for contagious bacteria. Take those makeup counter testers. Hundreds of people use them every day. But as you can see, not all of them use the disposable applicators provided.
People don't wash their hands, and then they'll go ahead and they're like, oh, that's a nice lip gloss shade.
Dirty fingers dipped in makeup can spread everything from herpes to pink eye.
You can find streptococcus, you can find micrococcus, and if you're very unlucky, E. coli, which is obviously from fecal matter.
And that same bacteria might be hiding right in your own makeup stab.
So
That's
that kinda
scary.
gives you an idea of what we're working with. For those women, we know a lot of people use makeup, but part of using it is being responsible to make sure it's in the best condition, to make sure you don't catch any kind of diseases. I think the thing that stuck out for me the most is the herpes things on the lip. That's like
Yeah.
that's a no go for me. And so we want to prevent that kind of stuff for you guys today, and we want to show how you clean and sanitize your products. So hopefully we made the case that this is something important and should be a part of your beauty regimen, and not just something
Yes.
you take your tools and you leave them in the corner where dust can get on them and all this kind of bacteria can get on them, and you don't worry about it until you put that back on your face. So we're going to show you how to clean that stuff today. So we're lucky enough, like I said, to have a licensed esthetician and also a beauty entrepreneur. They're going to kind of help explain and demonstrate how some of this stuff works. So let's start with you, Renee. Let's start about, let's kind of, first of all, kind of list the main tools that should be cleaned, and then we can go into how to clean them. Okay? So let's take like the top 5, if that's possible.
I think that's possible, yes. So think about anything that is touching your face. First of all, anything. You're thinking of your brushes, if you're using any kind of sponges, any applicators that are going on your face, anything that touches your face directly, you for sure want to make sure that it's not only clean, free of physical debris or anything else, and then also sanitize, but also the area that you're working on. I'm going to throw a term out there, maybe considered big, but I want to share it with you. It's called a sanitary maintenance apparatus. Pretty much putting down some paper towel or something on the surface that you're working on. So thank you. So right, there you go. So if it's going to touch your face, such as this lovely sponge I have here, it does not need to go directly on the surface. So you're cleaning the surface you're working on, you're laying that napkin down, anything that touches your face is on it, to include your lashes, your sponges, Q-tips, and then you want to make sure your brushes, your applicators, all of those things have been cleaned and disinfected prior to touching your face.
Now, you talked about a lot of different items. Let's take one of those. So, a very popular one is the sponge, right? So, what's the best way to clean your sponge? And when and how often should you clean your sponge?
Do you want that one, Antonia?
Okay, so I knowing Renee personally, I know that Renee does not use the same sponge twice. So she likes to change her sponges out frequently. I do have a favorite sponge that I use, and normally I'm going to use this cup of water as a demonstration. I will use some makeup shampoo. This is makeup brush and sponge shampoo. I would pour it onto the sponge and lather it really well, and then rinse it under lukewarm water until the water runs clear. And then you leave it till it's completely dry. So you would sit it on your sanitary apparatus, which would be a piece of paper towel, and you let it dry completely before the next use.
So, in a situation like that, you only get one use before you start to clean it? Or how many times can you clean it? I mean, can you use it before you start to clean?
I honestly, twice tops for me, and in between cleaning, I have makeup brush cleaning spray that I also spray down my brushes and my different items, my different tools, if I don't have time to clean them right then and there on the spot.
We're going to talk about one at a time, and then we'll go to the next
Yes.
product. Okay. So, as far as this makeup sponge, we use it twice, and then we clean it with, are we using water, soap, dishwashing detergent?
Yes, water and
or we
shampoo.
need to buy a specific product for it?
Well, there's makeup brush shampoo. You can always use regular shampoo. You have some people that use Dawn or Dial because it's antibacterial. Anything that will give you a good sud that will cut the bacteria and cut the grease in the sponge. And then you make sure you rinse it clean with lukewarm water.
Now, why lukewarm water?
I think the lukewarm water helps it to not set up as much when you're trying to actually rinse everything out of it, and it preserves the life of the sponge.
Okay. So we have 2-time usage. Now, let me ask you, is there a limit to sponges? Like after 6 months, should you just throw it away, or can you just wash and wash and wash?
There are disposable sponges that are one-time use. But these sponges that I really love, I won't use them for more than a month, and that's washing them and cleaning them on a regular basis.
Now, when you talk
So
about
I like
sponges,
to buy those in bulk.
you
Yes.
like to buy them in bulk? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
That way, so we're basically saying the timeline, after you washed it numerous times, is what's the limit, you think, in your opinion?
I think after 5 or 6 washes, it's time for me to change my sponge out.
Okay. Now, as an esthetician, when you see people who've been using the same sponge for a year and wash it maybe once a month, like what does that do to your skin? Like when you have these types of things come up, Renee.
So first, it makes me want to just go and buy them some more sponges, because I never want anyone to feel bad or guilted or ashamed. It makes me want to take them shopping, get them some coffee, and buy them new sponges. again, like I said before, sometimes things are your favorite and you may not realize how long it's been since you've actually had it. So thinking about, like I have a sponge here, which I'm going to use only one more time and toss it. If I clean it, I'm using it. After a while, the product is going to break down. The makeup is going to, be
Mhm.
within it. There's bacteria. It becomes a home for bacteria. And if it's not in the same materials of the way it was made, you're not working with that same exact product. And in this way, you may find yourself where your makeup doesn't look as clear. It may look murky because there's old foundation that has made a home inside the sponge. So it's best to get several disposable sponges. Again, I will use it once or twice, different sides of them, but don't keep them forever. Sometimes you have to set an alarm or put it on your calendar. Your skin will love you and thank you for it. You can avoid unnecessary breakouts simply by changing your sponges frequently.
So you're saying not only could you avoid breakouts, but also it diminishes the effectiveness of the product you put on there.
Yes, I love the way you said that for sure, because you have to think about this. If it's not that clear slate, that beautiful, clear, clean sponge you bought, it has a different base now. Maybe there's foundation, maybe that color changed, it oxidizes over time. It may make you look more olive, you may look more drab, or that glow that you want may not be there because that old sponge and its good old bacteria is stripping that away from you.
So it's kind of almost like a painter. If they put too many colors on there
Yes.
and try to take it away, you don't get the color you want or the effect that you want. So that's, ladies,
Exactly.
or gentlemen, is another reason why you need to either clean, and even after cleaning,
Yeah.
you need to just get rid of it so you can start with a fresh, clean palette, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So that's a great tip, and that's great information. Now, you named another product earlier about, women like to keep too long or don't necessarily pay the proper attention to. Give us another product. How about like mascara? That's something that's going into your eyes. So give me some of the problems that go along with using mascara that has been tainted or just too old. Just start with the problems first. Renee.
Okay, so a problem I would say is that if each time you use that mascara, you put it back in the wand, whatever was on your lashes goes back in there. That bottle is sealed. Okay, mascara is usually good for 3 to 6 months at the absolute most. I will really just say about every 3 months, I'm getting used to tossing it away to be safe and mindful. But let's say you had an eye irritation one day, or something was really going on with your eyes. You could have had a pink eye or just something of that nature. You're using that mascara again and again. I would relate it to using a toothbrush. Let's say if you had the flu, and versus throwing them away, which you should. My dentist said you should throw them away after you're sick and get a new one.
Mhm.
It's kind of like using that toothbrush again after you had the flu, and it may not show up right then and there, but it could irritate your eyes later on. And also, the mascara gets a little dry and cakey over time, and it could actually pull out your natural lashes. So it's best to give it about 3 months. At a tops, I would say, even though most can go about 3 to 6 months.
Okay. Now, for mascara, there's no cleaning that, right?
You can sanitize the actual brush
Hmm.
with
Okay.
70% alcohol. You can sanitize the brush. You can also dip the brush in a shot glass size cup. Put some alcohol, 70%. You use it pure. You don't have to mix it. You dip it in there. You leave it in there for about 30 seconds. Wipe the brush off, and you can sanitize that way. But I always like disposable.
Disposable.
I think this is just a great way. These disposable brushes are one-time use, and you throw them out.
So I guess
That's the
the
best way to
important
keep
part,
yourself safe.
what you said, is one-time use. So even if you get disposable,
One time.
so they can't cheat the system.
No, one-time use.
Okay.
Because after that first use, they start to lose their effectiveness. These are not nearly as good as the brushes that come in your actual mascara. So they're really only meant for one-time use.
So how about the ones in your mascara that comes with it? If you sanitize it with the alcohol, like you said, how many times should you be able to get out of that?
Well, the 3 months that you're using the mascara.
So just you should be at the 3 months. Okay. So after 3 months,
You really shouldn't keep mascara longer than 3 months. You really shouldn't, unless you're not using it on a regular basis. Because as Renee said, you're taking your mascara brush and putting it back into a dark container and then putting that into your case, and that's just sitting there growing bacteria. And then it loses its effectiveness. It starts to get clumpy. So after the first 2 months, you'll notice a difference in how your mascara performs because it's starting to dry out.
so it'll start to dry out after a couple of months,
Yes.
and that's kind of your first your red sign, your first check
Yes,
mark.
that it's time to get rid of it.
So even if there's a 3/4 of a container full of liquid in there, and also the fact that it's liquid, does that play a role in the bacteria formulation?
It sure does. It absolutely does. That's the carrier for the bacteria.
So
So that definitely plays a role.
so would you say, in general, when you talk about liquid products, you need to have your antennas up a little bit more because they tend to carry more
Yes.
bacteria?
They do tend to carry more bacteria. You have a lot of makeup companies now using squeeze products versus the regular,
Yes.
liquid products of the past in the glass bottles or the plastic bottles. And I think those squeeze products are much more sanitary than what we were offered in the past.
Okay. So
I agree with that.
we want to be careful about the products that are liquid based, to make sure we
Yes, be very
definitely.
careful. Those will carry bacteria faster.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we got mascara. So another product I want to talk about, that's very popular is foundation. Foundation can be liquid or powder. Kind of talk about some of the risks associated with not having, you know, product that is not sanitized or that is too old. If you can do that for me, Renee.
Sure. So any product is too old. It's pretty much beyond its shelf life, and so that is set. Think about eggs or milk in the refrigerator. It has a certain length of time that it's going to be the best product. So let's think about even how makeup changes. The way you may what you may wear in the summer will be different what you wear in the winter. Not only because of how your skin looks and your complexion, but also that product could be just sitting on your shelf. And based upon the chemical formulation, however it's made, it could separate, and you don't want to have to shake it up each time to use unless that's a specific reason for it. But also think about the temperature in your home. If it's too warm, it can really not make the makeup be in the best condition for your skin.
Yeah, that's a very important issue. Talk about storage of makeup. So, and we kind of skipped over that a little bit. So let's talk about what is the best place to store your makeup. A lot of people, you go in their bathroom and you see it in the counter or in a box or somewhere, they just lay it down, they use it, and they're done with it, right?
Growing germs.
So let's start in general. Where's the best place to store your makeup and where shouldn't you store your makeup? We'll start with you, Patricia, and then we'll go to Renee.
Okay, so where you should not store your makeup, surprisingly, in your bathroom. When
Wow.
you're taking a shower or a bath and it gets steamy in there and your makeup is in there, you're just helping it grow bacteria and you're helping it grow microbes and other, things that can damage your skin in the long run. That's the absolute worst space to store your makeup.
So you saying
Anywhere that can get hot and steamy.
that is true. So the worst place is to do it in your bathroom. How about any other places? Should it be in a box? Should you keep it in the box that it came in, or kind of talk about that? How about you, Renee?
Oh, I love that question. So when I initially get new, I like them to sit to the side for a moment, but that's just for that day. So you should take them out of the box, have them in a nice, cool, well lit space, because you don't want to put it in a box where you forget about it, or have it like in a makeup bag shoved in a closet. That's going to be a warm space as well. So it's great to get it out of that box, have it set up. If you have a vanity space, I have one here. If not, maybe on a dresser, but an open, bright, clean, great temperature place is best for it. You don't want to forget about it.
Yeah, so I like the idea of having a vanity space that's not in the bathroom,
Yeah.
right? Because, I never thought about it like this. So if you put it in an environment that is heated and moisturized, you're basically cooking those bacteria into your products, right? So that's
Exactly.
kind of like,
And they're
That's a good way
multiplying.
to say it.
and they're multiplying faster. I think, if you look in science and do a science experiment, that's the kind of way they grow bacteria in warm, wet environments.
Yeah.
So,
It's like a
you know,
petri dish.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, don't put your makeup in a bacteria petri dish inside your bathroom, unless.
You're
No, I never thought about that.
yeah. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
So
That's right.
let's take it from the opposite perspective. So if a warm, wet place is the worst place to put your makeup, what's the best place? Is it a cool, dry place? We're talking about your refrigerator?
You
Well, you
can.
should
I've
talk
had
about
family
that. You should
members
get that
who've
one.
stored makeup
Really?
in the refrigerator. Yes, my family's from the Caribbean, and I have aunts who put all of their makeup in refrigerator because it gets so warm and humid down there that that's actually the safest place to keep it is in the refrigerator because the entire house gets humid.
Wow. And what are your thoughts on that, Renee?
I want her to talk about the skincare refrigerator you were mentioning, the refrigerator specifically for makeup and like not where you put your chicken and potatoes.
Yes.
So let me ask you.
Yeah,
It made
but
me think about
I
it.
think, oh, go ahead.
If someone had like a mini fridge, they can keep some weight. Is that a good
Yes.
place to put makeup?
Yes, that's exactly what my family members would use, a mini fridge in their bedroom, and that's where they'll store all their makeup.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And one thing I
Okay.
wanted to share that's really cool, like even your spritzers, your hydration spray, if you have that in a refrigerator, it's a nice cool mist to your face as well. So there's another benefit in that.
It's interesting. I never thought about putting product in a refrigerator. Now, that makes me think. So what happens, if you have product, whether it be hair product, makeup product, and it's in a bottle? Is that offer any kind of protection at all? Where you may be talking
By
about like
protection, you mean
shampoos from breaking down the material, breaking down the product.
I think that's an interesting question. I think it just really depends on what the product is and how it's made. Of course, whatever that company recommends is always best, and it's probably best to
Hmm.
reach out to them specifically about the product because that may not be the case for all. Sometimes, just from our own personal experience, we learn what works best. So, personal exploration is great, but it's also great to contact the manufacturer if there's any concerns with it.
Okay. So, let's go back to our original example about foundation. So we know that we don't want to have liquid foundations in a warm, humid environment. How about, powders? How does that work?
So powders can breed bacteria. They're also like petri dishes, especially if you're repeatedly dipping the same brush, the same dirty brush, into the powder over and over. But powders are pretty easy to sanitize because you just have to wipe that top layer off and spray it with 70% alcohol and let it dry.
Oh, so you wipe it off the top layer first, or you spray it with the
Yes.
alcohol first?
You're wiping the top layer first. You're
And you're
wiping that
saying,
top layer off, and then you're spraying it with alcohol.
so what's the best way to wipe it off with? Like a paper towel, or you want to just
The
take a
paper, well,
knife,
I would
a little
use
butter knife?
tissue versus a paper towel. Tissue.
Okay.
I definitely would not use a knife because then you're going to take off too much product.
Okay.
Especially if it's an expensive product, definitely would not recommend that. You'll be pretty upset that you're wasting that much product. But just simply wiping it off with a piece of tissue, spraying the palette, letting it dry, you should be good to go.
So the alcohol itself doesn't do anything to degrade the product?
No, as long as you're letting it dry properly. As long as you're letting it dry properly and you're using 70%, that's the key. It has to be 70%. Anything other than that may damage your product. And I've noticed some of the, neighborhood beauty supply stores will sell 75% and advertise it as makeup sanitizing spray, and it's not the same thing. It has to be that 70%. And if you look at the labels of those bottles, it says topical antimicrobial. So it's made for sanitation.
Okay. So that 70% is key.
Yep.
Not 75,
70%
not
is
60.
key.
How about 60? What does that do?
No, not 60. Do they sell 60?
Well, I don't know. I
I
just
don't know if
threw out
60.
some numbers.
They do. They do, but we shouldn't use it for sanitizing anything.
Oh, okay. So 70 is what you want to use to sanitize products. Okay. Yeah, we're talking about dry products, not
Absolutely.
necessarily liquid products. So you can't pour alcohol into your product that is liquid and you think that's fine. Right? Okay. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
All right. No alcohol in your liquid products. Only on dry products. Okay? All right. So let's go to another product, that we have lurking in not our bathrooms anymore, in our mini fridges that we need to keep clean.
Yes.
So let's talk about, lipstick and chapstick and stuff like that. First of all, where should you store that? Is that same principle apply to your other makeup? Either one of you ladies.
I would say so. You're keeping your lipstick for about a year or so. It kind of depends on the temperature of the room. Now, I love how, Antonia, you mentioned about the refrigerator. There have been times I've traveled and where the lipstick could have changed. Maybe it melted a little bit if you're in a road trip, something of that nature. The refrigerator can really help it keep its form and kind of harden it again. So you want to keep that in the same place where you keep your makeup, as long as you're mindful of a clean and a dry space. But always be mindful of the temperature of the room so you don't have melted lipstick unless that's your intent.
Now, once lipstick has melted, is it still usable? No, or is it like full of bacteria now?
Well, if you're not cleaning out the cap of the makeup, I wouldn't recommend reusing it.
Say that part again.
If you're not cleaning out the actual cap, like if you're sanitizing your lipstick but not sanitizing the cap of the lipstick, like on the inside and the outside, I wouldn't recommend it at all if it melts.
Oh, okay. Because you're saying it has touched an unsanitary part of the lipstick case.
Exactly. It's an unsanitized surface.
Okay. That makes sense. So,
Yeah.
I think I've seen people keep lipstick for years. How long should a person keep lipstick or chapstick? Not only before, it accumulates bacteria, but because it loses some of the original properties that, made it, your favorite lipstick. So,
Renee, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I throw things away so much. Oh my God. I would say a year. And I think it's great if you don't remember when you purchase things, to kind of put it on your calendar. So it's good for a year or so. I'll just say a year. Now, the thing about it is that the lipstick can start to, like, this is one of my favorite ones. It can start to break. You can start to see maybe a sweat. All kind of things can happen over time. So even though people do keep them longer and wear them and love them longer, you want to be mindful. A year is great, and make sure that you can spray to sanitize, wipe it off on a paper towel, let it air dry, and then that'll kind of help with the longevity and be mindful of any kind of bacterial infection or anything of that nature.
So when you see your lipstick and it has started to sweat on the surface, what is that telling you about that lipstick, and is it still usable?
I think that means you're not keeping it in the right temperature. Wherever it's being stored, wherever it's stored, it's too warm. If your makeup starts to sweat, there's too much humidity in wherever you're storing your makeup.
So you're saying that's a bad sign that you're not storing it in the proper place?
Exactly. That's a very bad sign.
Now, kind of going with this theme, what are some of the telltale signs for some of your other makeup that you know that is starting to go bad? Let's start with, we talked about foundation, mascara, the sponge. Like, what are some of the telltale signs in some of those products that you say, uh-oh, maybe I need to start getting ready to toss this?
I think
if it starts to get a funny odor.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Let's start with Patricia.
Oh, no. I'll just say, like, lip. Okay. Cool beans.
Go ahead.
No, I said if it starts to get a funny odor, sometimes makeup when it gets old starts to get a funny odor, and that's definitely a telltale sign that you need to get rid of that makeup.
And how about you, Renee?
I would say two things. Like for a lip gloss, if you can see through it and the color is starting to change, that means a lot of what was on your lip is now in that tube. And think about a gel product, like a gel-based eyeliner cream. If it's starting to separate or part in the container, that means, okay, this thing right here is getting old. Makeup is giving you clues. We just have to pay attention to them.
Mm-hmm. So when you talk about a foundation, what's a clue for a foundation?
It'll start to separate in the jar or in the bottle. You'll see like the more of the pigmentation at the bottom and some of the liquid, like a clear liquid at the top, where you'll have to mix it really well before you're able to use it. It's probably about time to get rid of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So we talked about, foundation. We talked about the sponge. What are some other products that you see, that are really, high risk of being a place that collects a lot of bacteria?
I think we should go to the brushes.
The brushes. Oh,
and the brushes.
The most obvious thing.
Absolutely, the brushes.
Yes.
The brushes. I think you said I tried to set you up unconsciously. So let's talk. So I think the brushes is what we're missing. So let's kind of get into the brushes. Give me let's start off with you, Renee, and then we'll get Patricia's reaction to that.
I'll share two things because Patricia has a lot of great information to share. I'll share two things. When you're cleaning, be mindful of the type of hair. There are natural hair brushes, there's synthetic hair brushes. Some may be goat, squirrel, things of that nature. When you know the type of hair, you will know about the best way for like shampooing, cleansing, and disinfecting those brushes. But I do want to share that you can help your brushes last longer when you're cleaning them on a normal basis. Your makeup will look true to color when you're putting them on. It'll help your makeup look very well blended because you're starting with a clean brush. And if you allow them to dry the right way at an angle, you will have that water running downwards through the hair versus back into the brush handle, which can make the hair parts fall apart. So it's touching your face. You have to be really mindful with your brushes.
Okay. And Patricia, let's hear your thoughts on that as well, about the brushes.
Okay, so I am very diligent about keeping my brushes clean because I buy expensive brushes, and this is a natural hair brush, very high quality. It's used, it's a brush that a lot of pro makeup artists use. So it's pretty expensive. And if you take proper care of your brushes, you can keep your brushes for at least a decade. So like
Yes.
Renee said, I am very diligent about using the right product on my brushes. For synthetic brushes, when I have used those, I'll use like Dawn or Dial, something that's like an antibacterial soap. For my not human hair, sorry, but my natural hair brushes, I love a nice mild brush shampoo. And as she said, you want to make sure that you dry it properly, because if you let the water sit in the base of where the brush hair is attached to the handle, you can the glue can deteriorate, and then your brush will start to shed hair as you're using it. So there's a technique to doing this.
Now, as far as sanitation is concerned, is there a preference
Hmm.
from synthetic bristles versus natural bristles?
No, there isn't. I think it's just a preference. Some people like synthetic brushes, some people like natural. I prefer natural, but it just depends on the person.
And you kind of mentioned that you have to really get rid of that water that may have collected when you're trying to clean.
Yes.
So, what's the best way to do that? Now, are we talking about pat drying it or blow drying it? Like, what's the technique? Give us a tip for that?
So what I will normally do after I wash my brush, I'll turn it upside down and squeeze all of the water out of the brush. Make sure every drip of water is out of there. I may take a paper towel and then squeeze it over there again, because I want to make sure that I'm getting every drip of water that I can. And for this particular brush, I'll lay it flat to dry, um, open. So I have a case where I normally store my brushes, but I won't put my brushes back in here until they're completely dry. That way it's not growing any type of bacteria. So sanitary apparatus, like a paper towel, and then leave it open and let it air dry. I know Renee has blow dried her brushes before, to speed up the drying process. Renee, you can talk more on that.
Oh yes, I love this stuff. So what I like to have my brushes angled when they are drying so the water is running down. And if I really am on the go, I'm always prepared. But if I want more brushes, I will use the blow dryer on the cool temperature, not hot, because hot is going to melt the glue in the ferrule, the handle of the brush. So I will blow dry it down so the hairs aren't blowing back this way. But again, cool if you have to absolutely blow dry and not let them air dry, and with the brushes angled down to preserve the hairs and not mess up the glue in the handles.
Okay, so that's a really cool tip there. If they really want to make
Yeah.
sure their product is well taken care of and bacteria free. So,
Yes.
in so when it comes to brushes, um, drying is very important when you're using those. Are there particular products as well that are people can use to help clean and sanitize these brushes? I know some people prefer to use name brands. Some people prefer homemade home remedies. Kind of give me an example of both. Maybe a homemade remedy and a brand that they can probably try out.
Okay, so homemade. I'm gonna go back to my alcohol, because to me it's the best thing ever. 70% alcohol. Just put it in a regular spray bottle, and you can use this to sanitize your beauty tools before, if you don't have a chance at that immediate moment to clean your tools, you use this to sanitize your tools. What I also like to do before I sanitize my tools is brush off all of the extra product off of my brush. And this particular product I use when I'm doing makeup on others. You can put it on your arm, and it's pretty neat. It frees up your hand, and you brush all the extra product off of there. You spray your brush with the alcohol, put it on a sanitary surface, and let it dry. I know some people prefer this makeup brush and cleansing spray, and that can also be used with the apparatus I have here to clean off the product off of your brushes. You can also find that same apparatus in this form. So that's easy to travel with, and just put it inside of your makeup kit. And it does a good job of sanitizing and cleaning your products in between washing. So it doesn't replace washing, but it's good for in between washes. And those are my go-to.
Okay. How about for you, Renee? Any tricks that you have that you can kind of share with the audience?
Yes, so I love what Patricia shared, like always disinfecting as you go. What I like to do is, even if I have a brush cleaner, I will spray some on the brush and clean it off on some paper towel. So at least the residue, the excess on the brush is gone, and then I will disinfect it and leave that thing alone. So the next time I'm using it, it's good to go. But again, that's just in between cleaning until you give it a full shampoo and disinfecting. On the paint end, I will be sure where the brushes are going in the water to get rid of the paint in it, and then a full shampoo and then a disinfectant. So it's very different depending on if you're talking about face and body.
So when you're talking about body, when you're trying to sanitize the brushes, you don't have to fully dip them in some kind of liquid. You can just spray on.
Oh, I fully that'll be very different. So because you're using that paint on the skin, and it has a different formulation than it would be for standard cosmetics, I will let those brushes sit in the cup of the water and then take them out, fully shampoo, cleanse them, disinfect, lay them out, let them spray. Not saying you shouldn't do as much as it pertains to the face, but upon the product that is being used and the consistency of it, the cleansing and sanitizing process is a little bit different. Nonetheless, it's about getting rid of excess debris, removing the product from the brush, and making sure you do get that alcohol on there.
Okay. So I guess the thing we kind of get out of this, if you're trying to sanitize and clean in between, you can do a spray mist of that 70% alcohol. Is that what we're doing?
Yes,
Or
absolutely.
a product designed to do instant sanitizing. Is that what we're saying?
Yes, absolutely. And then when you're cleaning in between uses, don't forget to sanitize your palettes as well. So you can spray that alcohol straight onto your palettes after. Well, this is a brand new palette. I haven't used this yet. But after you've cleaned it off with the tissue, you spray that onto your palette. You leave it open to dry, and that will sanitize that as well. So you don't want to have clean brushes and still have dirty product.
Ah, okay.
Beautiful point.
So I guess how much does it protect the fact that you have a palette and it's closed? Maybe it's always in your purse and you never have it open until you're ready to use it. So you still need to do this?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Your purse harbors a lot of germs. I think I've seen some ABC specials on how much germs a woman's purse can hold. So yeah, absolutely. I think that might be actually worse than your makeup kit is your
wow.
purse. And if you have kids, it's probably 10 times worse.
So I saw earlier that you had, I guess, the container where you held all your makeup equipment. Is that something you recommend to women to get to store their equipment? Okay.
I like it because it keeps me organized. And so I can find my tools easily because I do makeup professionally as well. It just really helps keep me organized. But then I have a second set with my personal items as well. I think this is a great way to not mix in or products with your tools. Because I've even been guilty of this. When you're rushing, you're just throwing everything inside of that box or wherever you keep your products, and you're just contaminating everything. So at least this way you can, if your brushes are nice and clean and you're storing in that makeup case, it's separate from everything else. So I really recommend, if you can find one of these, it's very, very, very useful. And also what I use, especially, listen, I have 5 sisters, right? So when we're all in the house together getting ready to go out, we're all on top of each other using each other's stuff. I love this metal palette and this tool. You can use it to scrape out
Yes.
powdered product and use the product from the palette versus using it from the actual makeup palette that can be contaminated. So this is another great tool to use, especially if you're accustomed to being in, big groups of women who, families who love to share stuff like mine.
So that'll help you to be able to share the
Yes.
product in a more sanitary way.
Yes, this is a great, safe way to share products, and you can clean it with the alcohol, wipe it down in between use, and it helps to keep everyone safe. So I use powdered product on here. I use foundations on here, eyeshadows. I scrape it off versus dipping the brush into the powder. I scrape it onto here. You could even scrape it onto a paper towel and use it off of there versus using the brush directly onto those products.
Oh, how cool. Now, what are those products called? The scraper and
So
the other piece?
this is a metal palette, I guess, and I'm not sure what this is called. Renee, what is this called? I don't remember.
Spatula. A
Spatula.
spatula is
Yes,
something
that's right. It's
every
a
professional
spatula.
makeup artist has. Yes.
Yes, it's a spatula. Just had a little lapse there, but yes, a spatula, and it is so. They look very simple, but they are so awesome and so handy in keeping your makeup tools sanitized, and very, very easy to clean.
Okay. So this has been a great conversation with you ladies today, and I appreciate you for joining us. And I kind of want to wrap up by, giving our audience, you know, kind of summary of the things they want to make sure they have in place as they look to make their makeup kits as clean and as sanitary and as bacteria free as possible. So if you had to create a toolkit for the users to make sure they had a makeup kit that you ladies would be proud of, what are those items they should have in their kit?
But you already know I'm gonna say 70% alcohol.
Look at me pulling mine up.
That's number one. Numero
Yes.
uno is at 70% alcohol. Number two, I would say a makeup brush shampoo or a good cleanser like Dial or even Dawn dish soap. Something that's gonna suds well to break up that grease and also break up that bacteria. A makeup brush pad cleaner. And it's a pad that has different grooves in it. And what you would do is once you wet your brush and you put the soap onto your brush, you take this and you rub this on this grooved pad, and it helps to get all of that pigment and all of the makeup that's in between the bristles of your brush. So this is great, and it's better than trying to clean it with your fingers and getting makeup up underneath your fingers. So I love that. A spray bottle with 70% alcohol, and a good makeup brush spray cleaner for in between shampoos, and trusty old paper towels, because this will be your sanitary apparatus. And that's what will be in my kit for sure.
Okay.
And a
Don't forget your
bonus would be,
disposable.
And disposable.
yes, absolutely. And of course, you're disposable, so nobody's abusing your brushes and making you have to do extra work cleaning up behind them.
And for you, Renee, kind of give us a summary of how long you should be keeping certain products. Starting out kind of summarizing what we talked about today?
Okay, I would say just be mindful on the box. It indicates, the shelf life, how long the product will last. But think about this: mascara, no more than 3 months. Your foundation and lipsticks, about a year. But gauge it based upon how those actual products look. The more you keep it clean and sanitized and storing it in the best way, the longer your product will actually last. But think about the 3 months for things that are going close or near to your eyes, and then for your face, about a year.
All right. So that was a great summary, ladies. I appreciate you joining us today. And I guess my take for discussion today is I didn't realize, that you couldn't keep makeup in the bathroom, basically, because of the warm temperatures and the moisture, and that you're basically creating an environment for bacteria. So make sure you ladies, if you got it in the bathroom, take it out, use some of our suggestions today, put it in a cool place, a mini fridge, a vanity counter, any place outside of the bathroom where you want to get that steam and hot water effect. So thank you ladies again for joining us. We appreciate it. Make sure you check out BLN Live next Sunday. We'll have a great show for you ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not sure the topic yet, but go to our website and you can see what we have coming up for you next week. We do this every Sunday at 7 p.m. So check us out. And again, thank you very much. And we'll be seeing you next time. Beauty Lifestyle Network is all about beauty your way. A lot of times people want you to fit into a category of what they think beauty should be. They want you to have hair like this or skin like that or dress like this. We want to give you options and say, hey, for however you want to do your beauty, we're here to help you with that. We're here to serve you with that. And that is the best way to represent your authentic self. And that's what we really want to do. We want you to be authentically you. We want you to be proud of you. We want you to be accepting of you, and we want you to love yourself. And we want to let you know that we are here to help you on that journey.